Welcome to another episode of UCRD Reviews. So today we have a P-Bandai release. This one comes from the Metal Robot Spirits line, which we haven't seen in a while. This one's the RX-121-1 Gundam TR-1 Hazel Custom, an option part set. So the Hazel Custom comes from Advance of Zeta Flag of the Titans, which is a really cool manga that is full of really awesome Titans designs, and is basically the upgraded version of the Hazel Gundam. After it was damaged in battle, it was turned into the Hazel Custom, and although it looks very similar, it features higher performance and functionality, and comes with a lot of really cool option part sets, one of which we will see in this set here. The Hazel Custom, as well as the Hazel, were both released in the MSiA line. They were really neat looking figures, but they did not function very well. Both of mine had trouble holding on to the beam rifles and was kind of disappointing, but hopefully this is a far better upgrade, and it's a really interesting mobile suit, and I like the Advance of Zeta stuff. They haven't really done anything with it in the Robot Spirits line, so I'm hoping that this turns into a very long line of really neat designs. And of course, Hazel Gundam is one of those that makes you question within UC, what is a Gundam? Because all this is a GM with a Gundam head and a bunch of high-performance parts on it. So kind of interesting when you think about it in that way. But anyway, this is a Metal Robot Spirits release, so I'm excited to take a look at it, so let's check it out. Alright, so we have the Hazel Custom all wrapped up in here. Wow, this is a really heavy, hefty feeling figure. This is heavier than just about any of my other Metal Robot Spirits figures, I think. This one's got a lot of weight to it. It looks amazing, though. Now, this one's been on the internet quite a bit because of quality control issues. I don't really see any on mine, but let's go through articulation and we can take a look at each area individually. So for the head, it goes down about that far. It doesn't come up very far at all. It looks like that's about it, and it'll go side to side. It looks like all the way around. I'm not going to force it. All the joints are really tight just because it's a Metal Robot Spirits, so it's got metal joints. Doesn't appear to be anything here. The cockpit looks like it's completely removable, probably for a feature. The waist will come down a little bit and back a little, not much. It'll turn about that far side to side before it gets stopped by the skirt armor. The arms will come out of the shoulder joint. Wow, quite a bit. I mean, that's fully forward there. And it'll come backward a bit. The armor here is hinged, shoulder armor, and you have a rotating joint up here. Arms will come out about that far. You have the double hinged elbow joint, which again is metal. You have hard point connections here, and we have a single ball joint hand that has a bit of a hinge to it as well. Side skirt armor is ball jointed, as you can see. So I'll go ahead and remove this. These spare magazines for the rifle are removable as well. The ball joint on here, at least on mine, isn't very strong, so removing those magazines just removes kind of the whole thing. Over on the back here we have lots of thrusters, some really nice detail. We have ball jointed back thrusters here that are painted really nice, and we have this movable booster pod that just comes right off. So it's a multi-hinged, says Mecha there, which is pretty cool. It looks really nice, has hard point back here, and then the front skirt armor is also ball jointed, so we can get everything out there. You have the legs will come out about that far before you run the risk of them popping off, and there's no real, there's a little bit of thigh swivel. You can kind of see the joint in there, but it's blocked by armor. And then you have the double hinged knee joint, which, even though the legs are really bulky, it actually has a good amount of articulation there. And this can be removed, which we'll show off later. The legs look really nice. Again, lots of detail. A ton of detail on this figure with paint and markings. And then for the feet, we have the sensors painted in down here. The feet will go up about that far, down about that far, and then we have a little bit of side to side, and then we have this this piece here is attached by a ball joint on this side here, and just kind of wiggles around, moves with the foot. But overall, articulation's pretty good. It's not the best articulation I've ever seen, but it is, like I said, it's a pretty hefty figure. So you have lots of features, lots of details all over it, which I like. But it's going to look really nice on a stand. You have beam saber storage. You have the multi-purpose launchers over here. So quite a bit of stuff. So let's actually take a look at what this figure comes with. So for the Hazel Custom, we're going to go through the hands real quick. We do have a set of beam saber hands. Pretty simple here. You see the ends of the fingers are painted. We have beam rifle hands. Very interesting way that the fingers are posed, but they work. And then we have a set of just basic posing hands. Now, first thing I want to go ahead and take a look at, I'm going to move this over to the side, is the stand. So we have this one. It says the Hazel Customs designation. You have the Titans Test Team emblem here and here. And it's going to be very similar to a lot of the other stands that we've seen. So let me put this thing together real quick. Alright, so we have the larger piece goes toward the back here, and the smaller one goes in the front. The smaller one can move around, and it has this rotating piece here. So basically what that does is it locks into these grooves and will rest this piece in place, and then of course you can make it longer. So this is a little bit modular there. And then this piece, you have a locking tab, which will allow you to move this around and then lock it into place. And same with the height of the stand. You can kind of position it where you want and use this tab to lock it into place so it won't move. So really nice looking stand. And then we'll go ahead and check out the stand piece. We'll put this back here, and so this is the stand piece that will connect to the Hazel Custom. So you see there's a hard point and then another hard point there, so it'll just connect right up in there, and you can place them on the stand. Now you do also get alternate forms of the multi-purpose launchers. So you get two where they're kind of in a launcher form. You can see there's a bit of gold painted in the middle of them there. And you have two that are like this. They're completely gold, and they form more of a handle. Now what you'll want to do is remove the head of your Hazel Gundam so you don't damage anything, and then these pieces will actually come up and out, if I can get them out. Maybe not. Let me do this off camera real quick. Okay, so I finally got them off. They weren't very easy to remove, but I have the each version here. I don't know why they're gold and then this one's yellow. I don't know why there's a difference there. Would have been nice to keep them all consistent, and then there's like a size difference as well. So I don't know if this is just a completely different piece. Please chime in the comments. I don't know if this is a completely separate piece than this, or if this is just this folded in half, but I mean it doesn't look to be that way on here, but I'm not entirely sure. So you do get those as an option. We also get the beam rifle for the Hazel Custom, which is a pretty cool little rifle here, and has a folding handle, very detailed, pretty basic, you know, not a whole lot to it. You have the camera painted, a couple markings, but otherwise it's almost a completely solid color, but it looks good. And then one of my favorite pieces here is actually the shield. It's got that really cool marking on it, and this is a kind of a GM Command style shield, so it has the ball jointed handle here, and then I believe you can use one of these as a arm shield to connect to the arm. Yep, so the shield will actually connect. Real solid connection for the shield, no risk of it falling off, and yes, it can hold the beam rifle without it falling out of the hand at any given moment. So let's, while we have this out, we have two more of those arm connections. So they're going to be for the shield boosters that we'll talk about here in a second. Let me get these out of here. And then while I'm in this tray, we do have 3 beam sabers. Really detailed handles here. Oops, really neat looking. And we have 3 beam saber blades as well. And you have kind of a shimmer effect to them, which is really nice. So we'll go ahead and get all of these out, and then we'll go ahead and attach one to the back there, like so. Get this last saber out, and let's take a look at the shield boosters. Now you get 3 of them, and they're really well detailed. You have a lot of gold in there, a little bit of markings. There's the booster itself, and there's the front of it. So let's go ahead and get these off of here. You also have a connection over here, which I'm going to have trouble getting. There it goes. And this little tiny piece connects one of the boosters to the movable piece on the backpack. So let's go ahead and get these attached real quick. Okay, so I got all of these attached, and they all attach real solid. These use the same arm connectors that the other shield has, and then this one just plugs in with that little piece I was talking about a second ago, and everything looks really, really good. You know, you can spin them around, have them connected in whatever way you want. You do want to be careful of paint rubbing with these. That's, you know, it's a problem with heavily painted figures like this, but otherwise, I mean, it looks fantastic. Now lastly here, when it talked about the option part set, it was talking about this primarily. This is the SubArm Unit. So this goes onto the front skirt armor and basically allows for little subarms, if I can get them out. There's a finger, but they'll just completely fold out, and you have 2 little extra arms for the mobile suit, which is pretty cool. But let's talk about how it actually attaches. So the first thing you'll want to do is remove this piece at the front, and then this will attach in place of it. If I can get it on there. Possibly. Okay. That's what I was doing wrong. There we go. Okay. Had to kind of snap it in. And then you just place this piece back on to cover it up, and you have the SubArm units. So the SubArm units can actually hold beam sabers. So you can see there's little claws there. You have a little tiny thumb piece where my nail is, and then these two fingers. And so basically all you do is you rotate this out, pull the arm out, rotate it back if needed, and then from there you will pull the claw, or the thumb claw out just slightly, and then from here you can pull each finger out very carefully. They are really small, but they can hold a beam saber. So let's go ahead and grab that, and then you just close the little claws up on the beam saber like so. They don't hold it very, very well. The thumb part isn't very big, and it cannot hold the beam rifle, which is unfortunate because that is something they could do in the manga. But at least we have this part. It is a little bulky looking. It's not really something I would probably pose it with very often, but it is neat that they included it. So for this comparison, I simply picked out a couple other white mobile suits. We have the Psycho Doga, which is a regular Robot Spirits release. Of course, the Hazel Custom, which is metal Robot Spirits, and the Gundam Mark V, which is a KA Signature release. So they're all different shades. Mark V is more of a gray color, but you know, the Psycho Doga is about the same head height. Obviously, it's taller with the boosters, and then it doesn't have as much detail to it as the Hazel Custom. It is of course a completely different looking mobile suit. And then the Mark V, which actually has a similar feature to the Hazel Custom, the idea of the shield booster, is quite a bit taller and features a couple different shades of white, and again, not nearly as much detail. I really wish they did a marking plus on this version of the Mark V, but they have not. So that's a unique comparison there. So being a P Bandai and being a Metal Robot Spirits release, the Hazel Custom set me back quite a bit. The pre-order price for it was $152 and change before shipping and taxes. So it is one of the more expensive figures. But once you get your hands on it and you feel the heft of it, as well as all the details, you can see why it has such a price point. It has a lot of cool features and a lot of variations as to how you can pose it. The SubArm unit is nice. Again, it's not my favorite, probably my least favorite of the Hazel options, but it is nice that we get something other than the standard equipment here. The subarms themselves are a little disappointing just because they can only hold the beam sabers. I was kind of hoping they could hold the beam rifle or any future weaponry that comes out, but it does not appear to be so. The beam rifle is also not storable on the mobile suit. I think the MSiA version had it so that it could be stored on the side skirt armor, and that is not possible with this figure. There's also the color discrepancy with this little piece. You know, again, I don't know if it's completely separate, but it just doesn't quite look right. Now that I'm actually looking at it, perhaps this gold piece is inside there and it's got a cover on it. I really don't know. I'm speculating at this point. So somebody smarter than me, chime in, please. But otherwise, it's a pretty neat release, and they've already announced an option part that's coming out for it. And I hope there's more down the line, including a Hazel Gundam. And then I didn't look into this enough, but you can see the spelling issues, grammatical issues here, which is kind of, you know, in this day and age, they could have done this right, put a teeny bit of research into it and spelled it correctly. But otherwise, you know, it's a Japanese product. It is a neat release. I really like it. And thank you for watching the review. Thank you for supporting the channel. And let me know if you picked this one up. I will see y'all next time.